All right, we rolling?
Yeah.
We're rolling. Okay, so
All right, cool.
the currency.
Yeah, the currency.
Yeah, tell me something about it. I think I know something about currency, but I'm confused, Damien.
Yeah,
So
well,
can
you know, because we came and spoke to you about it
Yeah.
like 3 years ago, but it was about like 5 years ago. I had an idea that prints really, if you pushed, would kind of became, you know, they kind of, through ubiquity or something, became like something more than prints and became started to act a bit like a currency or something like that. I remember talking about the, you know, Leonardo da Vinci or something and the Mona Lisa, and I remember thinking I was, you know, not more but as interested in the postcards as I was in the painting when they become that ubiquitous. And so I started thinking, what if you made a handmade thing that was like all unique, like a painting, so it kind of acted like a painting rather than a print, but it was like easy to make and there was lots of them. And how many could you make where it would start to sort of, you know, change hands, or it could act like a currency. And really on that idea that that art is art as a currency, because a lot of people have a problem with it. I love those sort of polarized things like that. I mean, I remember saying to somebody once in a bar that, you know, the reason why somebody said to me, why do you make art? And I went, for the money. And they were like, please don't say that. And I'm like, I'm only joking. So I love the way it's got that kind of thing, sort of culturally, that it's a dirty word. You shouldn't go there. If you're an artist, you shouldn't go to money. And then that sort of brings up that starving artist thing. And then the idea of the currency just seemed like the total opposite to that.
Well, let's go back a bit more about the currency, because it's more than just the prints or the paintings that seem like prints, because it's about participation as well, right? This will be accessible.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, maybe I should just say roughly what I'm doing, which is that you apply first of all we have a week of sort of application process, and if that's oversubscribed, we would go through it, and then we'll try and work out sort of democratically to spread things out as much as possible, so people don't hoard them, and that, you know, they've got ways to do that. And then you get issued with an NFT. All the people who are successful get an NFT. So the first thing is an NFT, and then after, I can't remember, we haven't worked out the timings exactly, you then can redeem your NFT for an actual artwork. And if you do that, the NFT will be destroyed. And then at the end of about a year or something, all the NFTs that aren't redeemed will exist, and we'll destroy the artworks. And we'll do that like publicly. It's a complicated thing, but interesting experiment.
There's 10,000 of these.
Yeah.
And in some ways, we'll have a chance to look at them maybe later on.
Yeah, of course,
somewhat unique prints, but similar prints. But is part of the project what people do with them and the extent to which they circulate between people in the group who buy them, or do they spread outside?
I mean, it's an installation really, but it's like a kind of global one. It's like I see it as, you know, conceptual art in a lot of ways. I mean, I love conceptual art. I mean, I didn't when I grew up, and then I love conceptual art, and equally in the same way as any other type of art. But yeah, I mean, I see this as a project, as one thing. It's like the whole thing, and it's like it's about its movement, or even its lack of movement. But it's really something that, you know, it's an experiment really. Maybe experiment's a good word, because it's like I want to see. I mean, everybody's involved who gets involved, but it's almost like and a little bit like my show that I did, Treasures from the Wreck of the Unbelievable. It's like you put on a show of all these things collectively, and then once it opens, it's like everything disperses and goes all over the world. Yeah. So I think, but maybe in Treasures, it's not so much part of the art as it is in the currency, because to me, that's, you know, the involvement of everybody is part of the currency project itself. It's not about objects. It's as much about the movement of the objects as it is about the objects.
Now, so that it's interesting, because in the end, money, however form it comes in, you know, whether it was money backed by gold. We met at the Bank of England.
Yeah, you showed me the gold room. I keep thinking about the gold room.
Yeah, it was all based on gold. But in the end, it's based on trust. Money's based on trust. It's trust that the gold's really there in those days. Now it's based on trust that the institution will make the right decisions. Money will keep its value. And at the heart of this is also a sense of trust in the underlying art. But there's what I find unique. Well, there's lots that's unique about it. But once you add the NFT, then doesn't the purchaser have a choice to make?
The purchaser always has a choice, but I think what's exciting about this project is we're forcing people to make the choice.
Exactly.
Because it's not, you can't have both.
Yeah.
I mean, we thought long and hard about that. Because you can look at it and go, well, you know, we're going to sell paintings and we're going to give free NFTs, or we'll sell NFTs and give free paintings. And then you can kind of do what you want and see what happens. But I think it got more exciting when we started thinking, no, it's like, I mean, for some reason, I don't know why, it's like the kind of art world really distrusts the crypto world, and the crypto world distrusts the art world, or the real world, if you like. And it's like, you know, there's a lot of people who are like totally into crypto, but then, are they really? I don't even know. But then to sort of
Well, they're into it as it's going up. They tend to be more into it.
Yeah, exactly,
It gets a little more.
Yeah, and but also though it challenges me, because the way I think, you know, like in terms of it as a project, I think everyone's going to go for the actual artworks, because it's obviously actual artworks are more important than crypto artworks. And then I think, no, that's me being like stuck in the mud.
Yeah.
And I don't even know. So that's what's exciting, is I just don't know what people will do. I guess the question is, you know, which would you rather have? If you put this is the hard thing, if you put the value aside, which would you rather have, an NFT or a painting? And then the answer is you can't put the value aside.
Yeah.
So it's you know, the jury's out, so that's why it's an experiment, really.
So in part, to me, the aesthetic of this project, the Currency, is it's the actual, it's the concept and what is done with it. It'll be interesting who takes, you know, does anybody take an NFT? Do they destroy the actual paintings? How much do they circulate? How much do they trade? What does it tell us about?
Yeah, I mean, I swing so wildly with what might happen. It's like, you know, one day I say it'll all be paintings, the next day I'm going to say it'll be all NFTs, then I sit with 50-50, then I go back, and I can't really work out how it will work.
That's interesting. So for money, part of the reason why, I mean, for money to hold its value, I need to know things about how much money is going to be out there, that sort of idea that it's the right amount of money, so that I trust my central bank not to print too much or too little of it. But I also need a market. I need you to accept it, other people to accept it, for it to have any value to me. Because if I can't trade it for things, then it's of no use. Yeah. It's only, you know, worth the cotton paper that it's or polymer now that it's printed on.
And how do you hold back greed?
Yeah.
Because people are sort of naturally greedy. You only have one greedy person in a bank or something.
I mean, it's also one of the characteristics of money. I mean, Marx would say that one of the unique features of money is it represents infinite wants. Because you could want, you know, I could want that painting because I know physically that painting, but if I want £10,000 or £100,000, I don't even know what I want the extra money for, but I want the money because it opens up possibilities that I haven't imagined yet. And
wow, that's, a key.
And that element of greed and that pushing forward. And you know lots of people with lots of money who are working hard to get more money, right? I know them as well. And you think, what are you working for? What is the point of this? And they, you know, in some cases they know they collect art. They're philanthropers. You know, they have reasons they want. In other cases, they just want the money.
And what do you think about the, you know, the like coins are like sculptures and notes are like, you know, etchings, and how they've used the art in that way?
Money, the physical money, is used to tell stories. And remind people of their history. So the fusion of money and art is. I
mean, art's like one of the. I think it's like a really early currency. Anyway, it's like, you know, I think people, you know, I think the auction houses were some of the earliest companies on the stock exchange. Before they went. So that means people have been trading art for a long time.
Yes, without question. I think of it more though as, well, on few levels, but when you get to the financial level, as a store of value, so people view it as less as I'm going to buy this painting so that I can then buy a car with it, type thing, as opposed to. But that's what's, you know, with the Currency, that's where it goes into a different direction, because it's blurring the lines between art as a store of value and having a functional role.
Amazing,
Or, you know, potentially that's what happens. We'll see.
what I've found with collectors, like when if collectors buying paintings, never question it. They just want to buy a painting. It can be worth anything. It can be worth £50, £20, £1,000, £1 million, 450 million, like for the Da Vinci. And it's like it's just there's no limit to it. And it's like, but people have got a real problem when you make something like a diamond skull, with wanting to take it apart and go, well, what did you pay for the platinum? How much are the diamonds worth? And how the individual elements of what they're worth. And a lot of people do that with things. Whereas in a painting, it's like, we all know they cost like 200 quid to make. It's like, it's just wood and canvas and paint, and the ingredients are nothing. But everybody does that alchemical thing where they just go, this is worth everything. It can be, and it's a really magical thing that all societies do, or with painting, where we give it like infinite value almost, and it's like its ingredients are nothing. But it only happens in paintings. It doesn't really. Occasionally happens in sculpture, like with the Bernini or something, where you can say, this has got some other thing. But I just wonder what you thought about why that, or has that anything to do with money as well?
It's a fascinating question. I think one's challenged by any painting or any sculpture in terms of imagining the ability to physically do it. So there's the concept and there's also the physicality of it. Could you replicate? Now, sometimes people look at abstract paintings and say, I could have done that. But, so there's an element of that which it's harder. Sometimes it's harder to see for a concept. It's like, okay, I could, if I only had the concept, then I would be. And you feel, but I don't know. I don't see the.
When I grew up, they used to say to me when I was wanting to make art, we used to ridicule modern art and just like do mess on the page and go, it's modern art, and I'll laugh. And then people that I remember in the pub would say to me, when you can do a painting that looks like me, then you're a real artist. And it's like representation, which of course is what's on money.
Well, the cost of our £50 note is the same as the cost of the £5 note. In terms of ingredients, we say it's worth 50.
Of course.
It's worth 50, right? But that's a trust element as opposed to a creativity element. I don't know why people would.
And what do you think about crypto as opposed to banks? Is that are you? I mean that the kind of safety of it, or the. I think everybody's talking about how great it is now. That's the decentralized and the centralized systems.
I think that in terms of the core, so for money and the way that we need money and to trust money and for it to be reliable, I don't think it has a role in that. But what I do think is very interesting is exactly what you're employing here, which is an NFT, which gives an ability in the digital world to have this ownership and trace provenance of ownership over time, which is and opens up the ability to own things that you couldn't previously own. So, memes or certain images or what's part of this project. So if I own an NFT in this, I own a slice, I own something specific that goes to a certain work of art, but I also own, or I have, by virtue of ownership, the participation in the project, which you couldn't have unlocked previously. So I think there's more something there because it's an asset in a virtual world. And in some cases, and what's interesting here, it links the virtual and the physical. So it's not trying to be money, but it creates a new asset.
And do you think that the financial systems as they exist will get a hold of that or be changed by that?
I think they're in the process of being changed by it. Absolutely. And so one of the things, and this is what's going to happen with the art that's on money, is that this is going to, and it's accelerating the end of cash and the end of physical banknotes. I mean, part of it's because more and more things are online and people are just more comfortable with spending online. But also, you need a system to link these digital assets so you can trade them freely or transact freely from them into other, just everyday occurrences. So, what do we have here?
So this is the currency. Because there are many currencies, aren't there? But I think I'm sort of
You're trying to
joking.
establish, yeah, sort
I'm
of
saying it's the currency.
humbly, you're humbly
But
calling
art
it
is the currency. The currency.
Art is the
But then again,
currency.
it's because it's a project as well. It's
Yeah.
like, I think if you just called it currency, it's kind of everywhere, isn't it? Whereas
Yeah.
it's like only here if it's the currency.
But
The Beatles.
the Beatles, the currency, the idea, the big idea. Can we dive in?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna
Open the box.
go in the 7500s.
Yeah.
God, look at that.
Yeah, it takes me out.
Okay, I get a hologram. That's very currency-esque, actually, to have a hologram, because
Yeah,
that's one of the main.
I kind of copied a currency in that way. I wanted to have all those things. I wanted it to sort
wait a
of look
minute.
like it.
And you got a watermark as well.
I've got the same watermark as that of my head
Yeah.
and my signature in it in the paper. And that's the watermark.
Yeah.
Is a Hirst logo.
Mine's called "Dressed Up for the Night." See, that's a good lyric.
Yeah.
Dressed up for the
Yeah,
night.
they're supposed to sound like songs.
Is there any repetition in those, or is everything slightly different?
On all the
the colours
on
and
any
everything.
one, no
Yeah.
two colours are the same.
Yeah.
I mean, normally when you look at colours, you pick out chords of colour.
Yeah.
But it's difficult to pick out chords in these because
Yeah.
you don't get them. If you put two reds exactly the same on, they'd both stand out, or two blues, or three
Yeah.
blues. But like, even those two blues there, you can see they're different. One's darker than the other one. So I'm constantly adding. Every time you make a dot, you add a colour to it and make another dot, so that you never get a repeat colour.
And when you assign them, I mean, you said earlier you make sure that, somebody doesn't buy a quarter of them or something like
Yeah.
that. You don't want that. But apart from that, do you try and geographically disperse them, or
Yeah,
do
I
you?
think we're going to try and get
if
it to be, we're trying to stop all those people who can kind of, like, if you're bidding online where you can bid and get more and the less bidding and all of that
So
sort of
people
stuff.
get all the tickets for the good shows,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, we're trying to stop all that,
Yeah.
but I'm really leaving that up to Palm and Henny to work all that out. But
Yeah.
the idea is that we do it as democratically as possible, and everybody gets a shot and everybody gets a chance, and they don't end up in the hands of the rich or the hands of the whatever. But we get them out everywhere.